What's up? How things been?
I'm actually getting annoyed right now as we speak. But things been all right, man.
By me?
No, hell no.
Oh, thank goodness.
Nah, man. It's
I'm in enough trouble. I'm in enough trouble already, you know.
So me and you talk about this for damn 7 years now. You know how people like to they like to share like the celebrity analysis. Like anyway, so David Banner is on the Breakfast Club saying like they was gonna kill me if I kept going as hard as I was going.
So he stopped.
Yeah, and you know about COINTELPRO, and I'm like, yo, and you know, Charlamagne hyping him up and everything. And so this sister shared it, and I give the face palm, like, and she like, can you expound? And I was just trying to explain to her, but she just got, well, you know, he's telling truth and entertainers and moving. I was like, yeah, you're just not open. So I took a picture of 3 books and tell her to go read those books and then come back and talk to me.
See, you always teaching. See, I would have said something sassy and slick.
Man, listen.
You be dropping gems on them sisters. Building.
No, it's actually extremely hard, man. I do like to send people. Because, I mean, I don't know. I don't think we're going to get past this celebrity analysis and
But can I say something, though?
Yeah.
We do kind of act like that's a new phenomenon.
No, it's not.
Because, I mean, going back to the era of antiquity.
What up,
hey,
y'all?
what's up, James? We were talking about people's fixation on celebrities. Like, what defines a celebrity changes throughout the generation, but the masses of the people and our obsession or focus or orientation towards celebrity goes back as far as there's written languages. I mean, people used to gossip about the king, the queens, the jesters, and all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But because media is so advanced and we just have media saturation, it seems to be that way. But I mean, it's kind of like certain things are universal to all cultures. Celebrity obsession, pornography, you know, conflicts, certain things you find throughout history, and regardless of how advanced or high technological, it's just humans cannot break that shit. People are primates.
Well, so I feel like we talked about this before, but did you say you disagree with that Malcolm clip when he was like, white celebrities and entertainers aren't looked at as leaders in the white community?
That's absolutely not true. How many entertainers have white people elected to public office versus black people?
Say it again.
How many entertainers have white people put in the high positions of power versus black people?
Well, that's because white people in power, but it's only a few white people that I know of that I can remember that was celebrities before they became political influencer or power people or political representation of power.
Well, they have power, so their positions of power are higher than ours. But Schwarzenegger was governor of California. They had a goddamn pro wrestler as governor of, what was it, Wisconsin or Minnesota?
Yep, that's only 2, Joe, that I was thinking. That's the 2 I immediately thought of.
Right, and that's presidency. I'm naming governors. If we go down to mayors and think there's a lot more, I just think that black people, because we're poor and oppressed, when we fuck up, it's more blatant. So white boys can go shoot up schools all over the country every week. White boys shooting up schools, and the average white teen can walk on an elevator or walk into a convenience store and nobody pays attention. I mean, the day after some white kid had done some mass shooting, I went into the airport, and sitting across from me in the airport was a white boy in a Charles Manson t-shirt. And nobody flinched. Nobody looked twice. But black kids are looked at as threats and criminals by simply existing. So it's not that we do stuff other people don't do. It's just that, like you said, they have the power, so they control the narrative. They control reality. They define and control and direct reality, and they have captured our very consciousness. Like, when white people talk about we need to win hearts and minds. They have our hearts and minds. They don't even have to compete for it anymore.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I hate to quote the fictional book Willie Lynch, but it was a segment of Willie Lynch, even though it's fictional, even though it's bullshit, where he said the nigger wench will train up her child to serve you. If you can capture her mind and control her mind, then she will do most of the heavy lifting on your behalf.
Yeah, but I think functionally is different because and James, you could definitely chime in. Functionally is different because I don't like white folks. So black folks, the celebrity black folks have a proximity to whiteness that immediately gives them credibility in front of black audience who have no power, and it just shows up different. So although there are celebrity white folks who make it to influence, and there's the dark I forgot Dark Enlightenment. There was a white, I guess, online celebrity who influenced political person. So I'm not saying that they don't have influence and they don't even move into the place of political will, but I think because they are white and they don't engage with our engagement with proximity to whiteness. So now when, Charlemagne, David Banner, Killer Michael, whoever these people say a thing, because of how people see their proximity to whiteness, their access to wealth, it's just kind of like they know what they're talking about. So
yeah,
you're
absolutely right. It hits different. It hits different. I just don't like the statements or positions that try to articulate that African people are uniquely dysfunctional. We have some unique dysfunction that is within us that's not within other people. The unique dysfunction is not within us. The unique dysfunction is in the oppressors. They are the anomaly. They are the mutation. Now, when we fuck up, it impacts us differently. But that goes from whether a little white boy steals a candy bar or a little black boy steals a candy bar. We know the consequences way differently. And whether or not black people get caught up in celebrity culture or white people get caught up in celebrity culture, the consequences weigh differently. But it ain't because we black, it's because they're white. And most black dysfunction is a byproduct of mimicking white people. Even ghettos were our European invention. Ghettos existed in Europe before black folks ever knew they ever existed in one. And every ghetto, even if it's occupied by black people, was planned, constructed, and sustained by our oppressors, by whites. Black people don't make ghettos. We don't sustain ghettos. We're just forced to occupy them.
So are we comparing white celebrities to black celebrities, or white celebrities are not seen as leaders in their communities or not propped up?
Yeah, we're talking about that myth that white celebrities don't lead white people, but black people look at celebrities as leaders. Because Malcolm X said we're the only people that have black leaders. And when he said that, he had referred to Louis Armstrong and Dick Gregory. He had went in on and was criticizing Dick Gregory's prominence within the civil rights movement because he was a comedian and an actor. And so he was criticizing that we have people who are entertainers. He didn't even say celebrities. He said entertainers as leaders.
Sports players. And
not to know that Louis Farrakhan was an entertainer. He was a calypso music artist.
But he wasn't famous.
Okay, now, but he didn't. Malcolm said entertainers as a direct quote, but that's synonymous with celebrities. But I'm just saying.
Go ahead, James.
Susan Sarandon comes to my mind when I think of celebrities that be out there protesting about stuff. Isn't she a celebrity?
Who that again?
Some white lady named Susan Sarandon. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, Jane Fonda was really big in the anti-war. She was leftist.
Yeah, her too.
Yeah. So, I mean, but again, white people don't get stigmatized. White people can commit 2 world wars, and we don't look at them as violent people.
Right.
But black folks, rise up because of persistent injustice and rise up and justly rebel, and we're looked at, oh, they're violent people who are irrational and prone to violence. So these stigmas that stick to us have very little to do with how we do or don't behave, and have everything to do with who has power over us and power over the narrative and controls the infrastructure of media and education.
Well, that also said that our black entertainers, or at least athletes, I think he specifically said athletes because he was trying to do something with one. They have handlers that direct them. No, you can't participate in these type of things. Just like with this little clip going around with Dwight Howard, he basically said he spoke out against Israel. He said something about free Palestine or whatever. He said he immediately get a phone call. Man, stop that! You can't say that. So yeah, there is a concerted effort to suppress voices, where in our community would have a greater impact, but they're not allowed to speak on shit like that. And if they do, they're gonna cut their straight off.
Yeah, but I think you let them off the hook when you say they're not allowed to. They
controlled it by their money, because that's basically what he said.
Well, that's essentially voluntary, though.
I mean, I get it, because I think they choosing sides too. When I hear all these about, man, I ain't worried about nothing. I'm just gonna choose to get the bag. Don't be mad at me, black people. I'm gonna go over here with Trump and get this bag. Nigga, you choosing, nigga, you going right. You supposed to be going left.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I do think we should examine those things, because I feel like there's obviously nuance, right? So the entertainer, again, as I talk about like proximity to whiteness, that's one thing, but a lot of times it's okay for artists, right? And I calling all of them artists. I'm caping them in artists. They artistic talent, right? It's okay for them to advocate for things, but it will be more respected if they direct you to people who actually do a thing, who specialize in a thing, right?
No, I disagree with that.
Well, this is why, right? Because I think there's a conversation around, it's like, even with organizers or whatever, but like if this is not your wheelhouse, you shouldn't jump in front and be the leader. Like, you can't be the face of this thing, unless you have done whatever it takes to kind of like got your teeth cut in a particular direction. I just don't think, because again, because of our position, a celebrity can say one thing, right? And there's so many followers that they will be propped up as real, a leader, conscious, and they can ride that wave. And I just think it's more responsible to be like, for instance, if there's a good economist who can articulate a particular thing, I'm not an economist. I'm gonna tell you, go read this person. Based off of what this person said, this is how I came to my conclusion. And if you want to know more, you should go check them out. I think that's a responsibility they should do, because, as you call them, ball chasers, waking up today to just want to be a revolutionary tomorrow is some wild shit. And I just don't think I just think they should. I would respect them more if they do such a thing while they go into the advocacy, and the Bible and all other books of whatever tell you like to wait on your ministry, or no investigation, no right to speak, whatever it means to study the shit, understand it before you start to go and start talking like you're an expert on it. Celebrities, because of the position that they're in, they automatically be put up as an expert or a leader or whatever the case may be, just because of their position. And they can be saying the most ridiculous thing out there, and they're gonna get cheered. So,
well, first, not all entertainers are celebrities.
I agree.
Not all artists are entertainers.
I agree.
A celebrity is a very unique position in society. And a celebrity is anyone who embodies the aspirational status of that society. That's all a celebrity is. So you have a sick, twisted society, a racist, capitalist society that hyper focuses on material accumulation, hoarding of wealth. So if I hit the lotto tomorrow and I came on social media with a money phone sitting on a Lamborghini or a private jet, I would become an instant celebrity. I can't rap. I can dance, but not good enough for people to pay to watch. But so celebrities are aspirational figures, and they come and go, and it ebbs and flows. But I think we as a community need for ourselves redefine what a celebrity is. We just accept whatever the capitalist white hegemony system props up.
Yeah.
They give us several individuals, and we just pick from that which ones we like and which ones we don't like. When all of that should be cast aside, and we should say, who are the figures, individuals, artists, scholars, because artists, scholars, common folk all rise to the position of celebrity.
They can be celebrated.
A plumber, right now we have a plumber
who's celebrated,
who likes to throw hands, and he's now a celebrity.
On site.
I haven't seen him with any talents. I don't even know if he's a good plumber. But so, celebrity can be made overnight. So we as a community, independent of the dominant system, need to determine what are the aspirational qualities that we strive for as a people, and who can represent or embody those qualities for us. And those are the people we should rally around, focus on, celebrate, commune with, and tell our children to check out.
Yeah.
So I think if we as a movement, the Black liberation struggle, Black conscious, Black revolutionaries, because we're so hostile to celebrity, we're so hostile to the public spectacle as it is because of the way the capitalists handle it. A lot of times we think being unknown and operating in obscurity makes us real. We don't get caught up in all that fanfare. And while our enemies, oppressors, sellouts, and traitors got the attention of our people, and we sit around preaching to the choir without developing tactics and strategies to capture the masses, reorient the masses, and radicalize and revolutionize the masses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I James, go ahead.
I think to rationalize or to radicalize the masses, man, bro, Diallo, I see you putting in heavy work, but I think we ought to just start plucking people. I mean, because I don't know if we're gonna get. I don't care to reach all of them, man. Because actually today I saw on the show where it was a remix, and the lady on the show, she wasn't quite clear on why she should identify herself a certain way.
Oh yeah.
And then, one of the organizers in there started dropping knowledge to her, like, yeah, this is why this is. And she started picking it up, like, yeah, okay, I get that. But see, everybody not where she is intellectually either. You know what I'm saying? She also understands a lot of things. She just wasn't clear on why she should identify a certain way. But as people in the chat and as this person was dropping jewels to her, it started registering to her. I could see it register in her mind, but everybody is not going to accept it like that. But I think we probably ought to key in on people like that, as opposed to, I mean, I guess we should probably try to go everybody, but
here's the thing about plucking them. That's an inefficient way to secure ourselves. I'm a vegan, right? I don't like the exploitation of sentient beings. I don't think animals should be utilized as a food source, as commodities, or for entertainment. I believe that nature and animals
pets, right?
Rights, huh?
Entertainment mean included pets, right?
No, I think some animals can be pets. There have been animals that thrive under domestication, and other animals that should not be domesticated.
Okay, my bad. Go ahead.
House cats and dogs. I don't believe in the selective breeding of the animals, but human having animal companions, I believe that the symbiotic relationship we have with domesticated animals is fine.
Okay, I want to hear more about that, but go ahead.
hey, if you go further than me, more power to you.
I'm just curious.
Well, I mean, if that's not your position, don't play. We got enough devils out here making trouble. Please don't play the Caucasus Mountain cave dweller.
No, it's not devil's advocate. I don't know that forced dependence is better off. Like when you say that.
How is it forced? Have you ever owned a pet?
No. I know.
Okay.
No,
okay. Okay.
Well, we're talking about the domestication process, like
getting a little off point. Can we put?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Go back.
Pets. No, I'm gonna write right here in my notes. Pets.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about domestication process
and vegans. Okay, but what I was saying is I don't like that. So can I cure that issue by going to pluck the cows and kill off the cows? Because if I kill out the cows, there's no more hamburgers, right? That's not an efficient way to say, well, cows, the domesticated or the commodified cow is a byproduct of the meat industry. So I do better to disrupt the infrastructure, the industry of the meat industry than to look at its target, its product, its commodities and target them. So I agree that more so if we don't like these coons, these sellouts, these traders, we have to look at the apparatus that cultivates them and puts them out and props them up. Now, there is an occasion where some of them do break out of their cages and start to rampage through the community, and we have to take steps to protect the community. But if we just would only focus on the rampaging ones, but leave the apparatus or the engine that produces them, or as Gil Scott Heron and Del Jones called it, the nigger factory. If we leave the nigger factory, if you stand on the other side, you're really feeding into the GDP. You're feeding into the system. If we just pluck, plucking is a very arduous process. So destroy the machine, rage against the machine.
But we recruiting soldiers, right?
Well, we need soldiers, we need healers, we need scholars, we need comedians and entertainers. We need plumbers. You know
what? I would love to explore a revolutionary comedian, man. Like it's this one cat I used to listen to a long time ago. He ain't around no more, but he used to have a little revolutionary twist to his comedy. But I don't see them cats out. Like they don't, That would be something I would like to see.
I think so. Spending a little time in Nicaragua, like the entertainers, like the most famous entertainers are all revolutionary. They all sing in support and protection of the revolution, and that's because there was a deep social change. So it's like, and we was having this conversation on the Wednesday show, but like we just have to grapple with, like, it's not going to be the entertainers and the artists and the cultural workers that's going to necessarily shift us. It's going to be us shifting them. So like a deep social change had to happen to start to create revolutionary artists. It's the same thing with politicians, the people who run like they would have to come from out of among a particular type of work for it to happen. I don't think it's going to be the other way around, because
there has to be an atmosphere created for that.
But I do think we have some progressive and leftist comics. Yeah. They just don't get play.
You think Josh, that new dude?
Yeah, he cool. But
Ali?
Yeah, I mean, I know who Josh Johnson is. I mean, he hides the contradictions in his comedy.
Bill Burr is going all the way left.
Yeah, Bill Burr is cool, but he ain't black. But I mean, I ain't tripping on that. I mean, I still like some of the stuff he say. But
right. Well, you didn't say black. You just said revolutionary comedians. You didn't say black.
Revolution is clandestine. Did you highlight that?
Yes. I was going to come back to that.
Oh,
go ahead.
Okay, we can go back to it. I think the last
okay.
part.
Let's okay, let me that was a good one. Let's get on topic, run through the topic, and then we'll discuss the comments and stuff. Let's do that, okay?
All right, let's do it.
All right. So today I wanted to discuss What was the title of the show? I never remember what. Like, do revolutionaries have to be righteous? Was that it?
No.
Shame on y'all for not knowing. Revolution and righteous.
I didn't get it.
Righteousness.
The link. Revolution and righteous. It's at the top left corner.
Revolution and righteousness. I'm gonna edit that. It's supposed to be revolution and righteousness.
But I was gonna pose for the title. I was going to say, are revolutionaries required to be righteous? That was going to be the question that I wanted to discuss. Are revolutionaries required to be righteous? And what brought this to mind is two things. First, we are familiar with Dr. Fubar and his daughter. And his daughter, Dr. Umar Ifatunde, Dr. Fubar, as I call him, he has several names, was exposed to be what was called a deadbeat dad. And then he responded to his daughter in a way that brought even more criticisms to him. But beyond that, those two individuals, the commentary around that is how fake revolutionaries are. I had someone message me yesterday or the day before saying that they were introduced, the first time they heard the word Pan-Africanism was through Dr. Fubar. And that made they rejected Pan-Africanism until they found better sources to educate themselves about Pan-Africanism, and they later embraced it. But initially, and I know for a fact, there are a lot of black people that are like, I don't want nothing to do with that black shit because they all con men, they all this and that. And so the first question that always comes to mind is that people love to talk about how fake revolutionaries are. Or one sister had said, it kind of made me laugh, that dating men like Umar, dating revolutionary men is an extreme sport because of the level of energy and risk that goes into it. And so I want to talk about this concept of revolution and righteousness. Are they synonymous? Do revolutionaries have to be righteous, moral, ethical? And if so, is it the same ethics and morality that we understand them to be?
Can we ground with definitions first? Because what is revolutionary and what is righteous?
A revolutionary is someone who advocates and works towards revolution. They advocate, organize, and execute revolution.
Which is the overthrow of a particular social order or government.
It's not just the overthrow of a social order. It is the overthrow or dismantling or subversion of a social order and the erection of a social order that is diametrically opposed to the previous.
So it could be bad or good.
It's a subversion of the dominant paradigm.
Right.
So it's not just enough to take people out of power or even burn down the buildings. Your revolution is defined of what you construct afterwards.
Right. So that means that there could be revolutionaries who, so if there's a socialist government or a good government,
yes,
and a capitalist government destroy that and orient.
You can have a right-wing revolutionary, a right-wing reactionary revolution. Yes.
Yeah. So in that breath.
But if you're on the African World Order channel and they're discussing revolution, let's just go with the context clues. So we're discussing Black revolution, Black revolutionaries.
Okay.
Because
And then righteous as in moral,
upright, and righteous. Most of the common definitions of righteousness have a religious or theological slant in it.
Because you might have to kill a motherfucker.
Right. But under what terms? What is there a righteous or justified? Or is it always, if you're a pacifist, there's no justification and there's no so and I wanted to share some positions with you guys and then discuss them and kind of move on so we can find out whether or not you can be that you have to be righteous, or like you're saying, what is even being righteous? So a quote from John G. Jackson, he stated that good men have to learn to enjoy cutting throats as much as wicked men do if they really desire to overthrow the wicked men.
I don't know about enjoy, but being comfortable with it is different than enjoying it.
Well,
So you
either
would
way,
not enjoy the violent downfall of your oppressor?
What I think, in again, enjoying the violent downfall is different than enjoying cutting throats.
So if you were with Nat Turner
You
or
better listen
Jesse
to what I just
Broussard,
said just now.
you'd be like,
Enjoying the
damn. And
downfall.
they're like, yo, my brother,
Listen.
go. And you're like, I'm not going to like this.
No, I'm just saying enjoying the downfall is different
They
than
just
enjoying
shouldn't
with
give
the
you a
act.
machete. You'll just hold a torch.
No, see, this is why we got to get tone level setting and definitions, because you don't have to
You
enjoy
said you
it. You
wouldn't
can be
enjoy
comfortable
it.
with it. No.
Well,
Well, I'm saying you comfortable. You have to be comfortable with it, not necessarily enjoy it.
either way, it don't matter to me.
That's according to
I think it should.
John Jackson and according to Che Guevara, it's not enough. If you're simply comfortable with something, that doesn't go far enough, because I can tell you this, based on psychological analysis, these wicked motherfuckers derive the most intense pleasure from the atrocities they commit, from the resources they steal, from the power they hold. I think Elon Musk gets the most pleasure from stealing resources from the masses and hoarding $200 billion. I don't think he's just, okay, fine, I got $200 million, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not. But listen,
So, if your enemy has more passion for you for what they're doing than
so
you
remember
got,
what you said. Let's go back. You said earlier, it's not something that's wrong with us. It's something that's wrong with them. So we're distinction that something is wrong with them. I don't think we want to mimic something being wrong with them, because now we need to be as wrong as them. Does that mean that we aren't willing and more able to put people to sleep? Yes, but enjoying doing it like they enjoy doing it. That I think
you
that's.
think George Jackson was wrong.
I think using that word or using that phrase, I wouldn't use it. I don't really care to say who's right or wrong. I care to struggle around the idea that I don't think it's necessary to enjoy it.
So he
Like,
said
That's
you
personal
must.
preference. That's a personal preference.
Yeah. So listen, when the revolution is over and you won, you're gonna now deprive yourself of something you enjoy, because you ain't gonna be able to chop no more necks off.
Well, that has been a thing about revolutionaries taking power and revolutionaries governing. That's a whole nother discussion.
Chopping people's heads off because they disagree with you because you enjoy doing it.
That's a whole nother discussion. That's what I'm saying. What it takes to liberate a people is not the same. The skills and temperament necessary to liberate the skill. I know you didn't just say no motherfucking Papa Doc in context of being a revolutionary or
I'm talking about enjoy Papa Doc.
Let's not confuse. We're talking about revolutionaries here, not bloodthirsty.
Right, and I think revolutionaries are not. That's what I get.
Again, I said there is a long-standing debate dating really hundreds of years between the skills and temperament and disposition necessary to liberate versus the skills and temperament for statecraft and the skills and temperament for nation building. They are not the same skill set. So George Jackson was not discussing nation building. He was not discussing governance. He was not discussing bureaucracy. He was specifically talking about uprising and overthrowing your enemy. And in that context, because you keep going outside of the borders, which is fine, but that's going to get us away from being able to draw any real conclusion from that. In that particular limited scope, you're saying that you can be okay with it, which is pretty mild position.
No,
you're okay with.
No, I said comfortable. Comfortable. Committed to it. So, for instance, being committed to something is not the same thing as being comfortable with it. Or I mean, not comfortable.
But you don't want to say, but you disagree with George Jackson.
I disagree with the word enjoy. Have to enjoy. That's what I disagree with.
You disagree with the statement that you need to enjoy cutting throats as much as
all I do is change one word.
So you disagree with them?
I would change one word. I don't
Che
disagree.
Guevara is on record stating that you can't defeat an enemy you do not hate.
Okay.
He said hate is essential and necessary for organizing a fighting force to overcome.
English language is so limited.
Colonizers. Would you prefer that we switch to another language?
Of course I would, but
Which
we're
one?
not there yet. We're not there yet.
We got translators. We got real-time translation.
One that describes what we are trying to say.
I think English language is adequate to discuss these particular topics.
Well, I'm saying the English language has limitations. Of course, we can discuss in English.
What is your position?
That's why in English I use a different word.
So you distort what other people said. I'm fine with you using a different word as long as you say, well,
you know good well.
But when you're quoting someone and referring to someone, especially someone we should revere,
Diallo, you more than I listen.
We are dealing with what they said, not with what you said, though.
Diallo, you more than I know well that you are specially capable of taking on what people start and building off of there. If somebody got something wrong or something you disagree with it, you try to correct it. Yes. Amos told us to do that. John G. Jackson even told us to do that.
Yes, but I have no issue with saying, and I'll say with my full chest, Marcus Garvey was a capitalist. He was wrong. Marcus Garvey was a Christian. He was wrong. And then I build. You don't build by trying to distort. I would never distort and try to argue that Garvey wasn't truly a Christian. Garvey wasn't truly a Catholic.
I'm not doing that. I did what you just did.
So I acknowledge what was said. I state my position on what was said, and then I expand on it.
That's what I just did. I did exactly what you said.
But you say, well, I don't disagree. I just changed the word.
Listen, I don't disagree. Watch. No, I don't disagree with the sentiments. What he's telling you is you have to have the same fervor of putting these people to sleep, right? And what I'm saying with that fervor, you being committed to it and comfortable with it is not the same as you enjoying it. That's all I'm saying. So I just use a different word. I ain't distorting. I ain't changing. I'm just saying, like me and him will come to the same conclusion is you have to put them buckers in the ground if you really want to get to a place of freedom. Do you have to enjoy doing it? Do you have to get hard on doing it? Is it like that's other shit?
Let me say this: what I've observed in the conflicts I've studied, and some of the otherworldly, superhuman achievements of revolutionary fighting force. If you look at the Afghan war or the Viet Cong communist guerrilla warfares, the leader of the I can't even remember the name of them. The veterans. It was the word for veteran, and I can't remember. But when George W. Bush was threatening to invade Afghanistan, their military leader said, "Our people are as eager to die as your people are to live," which is a sentiment which is curious because this guy was a theocrat. He was a fundamentalist Muslim, and the atheist secular guerrillas basically said the same thing. As eager as you are to live, we are to die. And when those people touched ground, they had weapons that were well beyond, and these people were sustained by will more so than by material things that they had. And I don't think you can just from my point of view, face those type of odds with just being okay with or accepting the necessity of something. Sometimes that revolutionary fervor, and that's why the COINTELPRO programs, one of their main objectives was to dissolve or pacify us psychologically and emotionally, not just take away our leaders and take away our guns. In fact, they're like, you can have all the guns you want. They flood our communities with guns because that's
a good point, right? Psychologically, right? Which means there's a good chance that we, and you know,
it was the Mujahideen. I'm sorry.
We on the left are quick to call each other's enemies and whatever. So if that be the case, there will be a whole lot of bloodshed over some weak ass disagreements, unprincipled conflict, right? And so if I'm saying that, no, like this idea of loving to whatever, chop off somebody's neck, like you got to be comfortable with doing that. You got to be prepared to do that. You got to be okay with doing that. Same thing with the counter-revolutionaries who try to overthrow Nicaragua. The Sandinistas was able to flip some of those people. Some of these people will have wrong-ass ideas with wrong-ass people, and sometimes they can be flipped. But there's obviously a tactic on which you should protect yourself and protect the revolution.
Are you arguing that a person who is, what's your term again, that to challenge, enjoy, okay with, or comfortable with?
You have to be comfortable or committed.
So what you're saying is someone who is comfortable is less likely to engage in those behaviors than someone who is enthusiastic or fervent or enjoys it.
All I'm saying is I don't think you have to love chopping off necks. I don't think you have to love that.
But then you went on to explain that it is a threat, that it's not just that it's not necessary. You said it's bad because you're saying people that take that position will start to prey on one another, or you said there will be bloodshed and more bloodshed and more violence.
I think that's possible. I think that's fairly documented.
But you think someone who is less fervent about their liberation and revolution, or someone who refuses to match, or let's use modern terminology now, someone who refuses or doesn't want to match the enemy of the oppressor, they're less likely to pray. Because let me tell you this, what I've seen, let me tell you what I've observed. Those more fervent movements are less likely to bow or have defections than the more take it or leave it types. But I understand we're not comfortable with words. And we
well, comfortable with words.
Well, if it's a righteous, if defending ourselves is righteous, then maybe it's a mindset, right? Enjoying the righteousness that we're doing, which may end up being having to murk somebody.
This is why I don't even understand that we're having the same conversation here. Like, I don't know if Diallo is pressing John typing in the chat, but that's the weirdest shit in the world.
Ouch, I caught a stray.
Cause like, what the fuck? What are we talking about here? That's some of the dumbest shit.
Like I said, what I said is you could hold the torch, 2 torches, and let the other people hold the machetes. That's all I said.
I didn't hear Geechee try to talk us out of.
That's what the wild is. But the way Diallo is a celebrity, and this is my point at the beginning about celebrities. Celebrities can say a different thing, and their fans will just run.
I'm a celebrity now, Geechee.
You know you're a celebrity.
Wow!
Don't act like that. You've been a celebrity for a long time.
Wow! It's the first time I've ever heard that, man. But I don't know.
At least everybody can be. But you know what? He's of our making.
Hey, James, don't let him see your shirt. James, don't let him see your shirt.
Hey,
no.
See, I had one of them shirts too. God damn.
Hey, it's the celebrities we make though. See what I'm saying? It ain't the shit that's made outside.
A celebrity. And some people will follow him uncritically. But anyway, so
okay, now I have another statement in conflict. I don't think we really were able to ground the statement on hate and enjoying.
I think we did, Diallo. If you enjoy cutting necks, are you comfortable with cutting necks?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
No. Wait. I said not you. If somebody enjoy cutting necks, does that mean that they are comfortable with cutting necks?
I think it goes beyond, like you suggest.
No, I'm not talking about beyond. Would you say that somebody who enjoy cutting neck is comfortable with doing that?
Yes.
So we.
But everybody who's comfortable with doing something doesn't necessarily enjoy.
That's not the point. That's not the point. Everybody who's comfortable with doing it will do it when it's necessary.
Well, the point of his statement, and I think George Jackson has been validated by history, past history that he studied.
Wait, you talking about George or John Jackson? Because you keep flipping.
I'm sorry, it was George Jackson. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I was just reading something from Jonathan Jackson Jr. So I was just reading earlier today. I was reading some writings by Jonathan Jackson Jr., who's going to be giving a public talk soon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought I want to go.
But it's George Jackson. The ultimate, what George Jackson stated, that your desire to be free needs to match or surpass their desire to oppress you. And whatever actions or mentality that that drives them to oppress you, you better get that and go beyond it with your desire to be free. So enjoyment, yeah, we got caught up in the semantics, which I think we should. I do think we should. I think semantics matter. But the ultimate message that he's saying when he said cutting throats, because beyond that, we're beyond that. You know, the tactics, the strategies, and weapons at play are beyond just Nat Turner at this point. But the ultimate challenge is the same: oppressor, enslaver, liberator, revolutionary. So if they have more fervor, drive, ideological groundings to oppress you, then you have to get liberated. So you need to be as uncompromising, I think that's the safe word everybody loves, in your liberation as they are in oppressing you. So I think we both agree with George Jackson on that, but you would state it differently. And I do think that your wording of it would be more palatable to folks.
I'm in love with the righteous endeavor. So whatever happens after that, it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
And I'll sort it out later.
Okay. I think so as well. I don't think that. Well, I got a new statement.
So I'm looking through the thing, and I don't see the enjoy part. I see a lot of people, righteous people, don't like to cut throats. But yeah, I don't see like they have to enjoy cutting throats. Okay. I'm looking through it.
Well, I think we reached common ground, right? Okay.
Good people don't like cutting throats.
You do agree that our fervor and drive to be liberated must match or surpass our oppressors' drive to oppress us.
Yeah.
Right? So it's really up to them how far we got to go, not up to us.
As they say in the streets, we got to match energy.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I think that's the more you got to keep that liberatory energy needs to match or surpass the oppressive energy. Mm-hmm. Now, this is another thing that I don't know if anyone else has said it, but I say this all the time. Ultimately, under oppression and liberation, victory is the only morality.
By any means necessary.
Oh, okay. You wouldn't change that.
Under oppression. Say it again.
Under oppression, and if you are seeking liberation from oppression, victory is the only morality.
Yeah. The people who are controlling you don't get the right to determine what is moral or not. So right. Yeah.
All right. So we don't even have to linger on that one. Now I got another one I want to move to in terms of revolution and righteousness. Dr. Amos Wilson stated that African people, because of our indoctrination, are too fixated on the personal morality of our leaders, and it obscures our ability to see whether or not those leaders are strategically effective. So we're more concerned about, well, does this person have a mistress or some other moral failings? And we have an unrealistic desire to have these Messiah type figures, a black Messiah. And he said that that very concept of a black Messiah, it has warped us, because what we need to look for in our leaders is their competency and effectiveness in the particular arena of which they work. And beyond that, that is the ultimate measure of a good leader or a bad leader, not whether or not they have a good relationship with their daughter or they raise their kids. And that kind of hit me when I was young, because when I first heard him say that, I was looking for or either looking for a black Messiah to follow or wanting to cultivate myself into a black Messiah. Mm-hmm. And I really had a warped view of our past leaders and our heroes, that these are righteous men who didn't eat swine and were chaste, righteous men who didn't, curse or had and just a Messiah complex. And we always talk about a white Messiah, but we very seldom identify our desires or our seeking of black Messiahs. So does competency and effectiveness outweigh their personal moral failings?
Yes,
You cold-blooded.
they do they work outweigh they personal life, what they do inside their own house, right? Basically, it's what they come down to, right?
Yeah.
How they live their life outside of the struggle. You know, that's a question, man, because a lot of people don't respect. And I'm gonna take it here, but I know this is not the only thing. But this is a big part of what people look at. If you're not married black, they disregard all the shit you did. You know what I'm saying? But so in that regard, that's a tough one because I've heard people say, "Yeah, I ain't even trying to hit nothing he got to say because he married a white." You know what I'm saying? He married white. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
that mean you're not serious then.
But we see that all the time. That's extremely common.
Yeah, it's comments, but that means people are not serious. Like I think if we're talking about scientific anything, socialism or whatever else, if somebody did something right or somebody is correct, they're correct. Like one of Amos's quote is, sometimes it's going to be the most sellout lookingest person that advance us the farthest. Right. So if they can do a thing to get us ahead or whatever, so we talk about loving the cutthroats. If the dude who married a Buckra will cut all of the Buckra parents and grandparents' throats, I'm not about to sit there and try to figure out why he over there. I don't really care.
Well, to me, there's a limit to that position. I do think that we have to evaluate a revolutionary leader based on their impact on the revolution. Mm-hmm. And we should select our leaders based on competency and ability, not necessarily how close they are to the light of divine light of God. I do think our religious indoctrination, Christianity, Islam, for the vast majority of us, does warp our understanding of what a good man or a good woman is or isn't. And even we who, including myself, for more than a decade after rejecting religion and identifying as an agnostic and or atheist, I was still steeped, and most of my conclusions were born out of my Baptist Christian and adjacent Islamic indoctrination. And my opinions and conclusions that I told myself were born out of research, evidence, and facts. Really, it was I had religious conclusions about manhood, womanhood, sexuality, morality. I had religious conclusions that I went and covered up with analysis. And so I do think that someone who is promiscuous, someone who likes to drink or get high, someone who likes to gamble can be an effective part of the revolution, but that will also make them somewhat vulnerable. But I don't, however, think someone who preys on other Black people, a pimp, child abuser, or just someone who preys on other Black people can be. So there are some failings that were the predominant consequences of the failings fall on the individuals engaged in the failings. I can work with that. But if your failings, your moral or your hangups fall on other Black people and reverberate throughout the community, I don't think that's tolerable. So I don't need a moral leader for the garden. If you are a master gardener and you can make the desert blossom, we can work with you despite many of your hangups. But I do think there is a line that can't be crossed and you still be considered a revolutionary or an asset to your people.
I mean, I think you also, so the way in which you explain that, I don't know if it pushed on the mark of like, okay, we should define what is what, right? So even promiscuous, the title will come from puritanical type positions,
right?
Harming people, manipulative, sexually exploitive, and like that's a different conversation. So I agree, like that's not, So if I actually love that, and I wish that we could have more of a broader conversation around that. Because even when, damn, this is probably going to go off topic, but even as, you know how there's an argument around decriminalizing sex work, and then there's a further argument of like, well, if we were in a non-capitalist society, would people still have to or choose to engage in sex work? And I feel like there's a conversation that gets, I guess, floated everywhere. But ultimately,
I ain't gonna
like,
lie, I was thinking about that myself. I was
say that
thinking
again.
about that myself. I said I ain't gonna lie, I was thinking about that myself.
Okay.
I was just thinking about like, yeah, would that even be a thing in a socialist society, or you know what I'm saying?
No. The Revolutionary Communist Party said they would outlaw prostitution and pornography because they said it is inherently exploitation. That is exploitative of labor. The revolutionary feminist or the anarcho-feminist. But in the Soviet Union, under the communist Soviet Union, everyone was guaranteed a job, and there were several alternatives available for women under the Soviet Union, but prostitution was still rampant underground, even though you could say, well, everyone has a guaranteed income, everyone has a guaranteed housing, and everyone has a certain guaranteed level of material resources in terms of food, clothing, and shelter. But you still find, there's a good book called the Hidden Museum, which is a history of pornography. And I don't think you can ever eliminate sex work or pornography, the production of pornography, which is sex work, another form of sex work, but you can make it non-predatory.
So them downstairs in the basement, was that just a kink or was that a hustle?
What do you mean?
Like, what I'm saying, like this underground brothel or whatever this underground sex thing, is that in Russia? You saying in this socialist country or whatever?
Well,
and we're not allowed to sell sex. So whatever was going on underground, was that a hustle or was that a kink?
When now? You talking about post-Soviet or you talking about
at the height in the 80s, during the height of the Cold War, several scholars, the United States and Russia were doing cultural and academic exchanges. So communist artists and communist, you ever see the movie The Knights? It had Gregory Hines in it and the Russian dancer. I can't remember the name of it, but White Knights, I think it was called. But anyway, they had academics and artists going to the Soviet Union, and Soviet Union academics and artists coming to the United States to go on tour, give lectures. And it was a cultural exchange that was supposed to prevent the U.S. and the USSR from nuclear holocaust. So one of those scholars was Michael Parenti. And Michael Parenti was shown around, and they were showing, look how great the Soviet Union is. Everyone has a job. There are no homeless people. And there is no corruption and this and that. And Michael Parenti and one of the women said, yes, there is no prostitution in Russia. And he had responded to the tour guide and said, you might not have prostitution, but you definitely have prostitutes, because he was being approached by women. So the women, they did work. They were part of the Soviet. They had full human rights and all the promises of communism, but the sex trade went on in the USSR, even under communism, even though the revolutionary communists said that they would outlaw white knights.
But not government sanctioned. So survival economy and, well, not necessarily survival economy, but black market economy or underground stuff is still not arguing that USSR sanctioned it and or treat them as protected workers.
Well, the bottom line was that no, it wasn't sanctioned by the government, but it's like a blind eye. There were a lot of
I get it.
So how deep did this investigate? Because I'm thinking, I'm wondering, right? Okay, if you got all your needs met, is this for a few extra dollars, or is this for your enjoyment?
It could be one
Or
or
both.
the
I mean,
other
it could
one,
be
or
both.
both.
I mean, sometimes all your basic needs met doesn't argue or doesn't explain what sanctions look like. So if you go to Cuba right now, or Nicaragua is a little bit different because of mixed economy, but still, there are things that there are things that they don't have because of sanctions, the U.S. sanctions and embargoes and stuff like that. So there are still people who have less than other people.
That's true.
But can everybody go to the hospital and get their shit taken care of? Yeah. Can everybody go to a school? Yeah. But
And
even
housing was guaranteed.
housing guaranteed, like when you see homeless people, a lot of not homeless, when you see people sleep on the street, they actually have a place to sleep. They might have some mental issues that don't.
Right. It's the
allow
same
them
thing
to
in
go
the
back home.
Soviet Union.
Yeah.
And not the Soviet Union, in socialist Cuba.
Cuba. Yeah.
And so it was unique that to say, well, we don't have prostitutions, and where he responded, you might not have prostitutions, but you definitely have prostitutes. So there's no industry or stinks legal industry or infrastructure around it, but people carry out those acts.
But there's nobody exploiting them. They basically independent.
I think there was definitely exploitation in the Soviet Union, but it wasn't written into the system. It wasn't hardwired into the system, because you're going to have all kind of things, whether it's legal or allowable or even avoidable. There are a lot of people with adequate resources, like Kanye West. He has all the resources to get the mental help that he needs, but just having the resources or the capacity doesn't mean people are going to take advantage of it.
But when you argue Diallo, so, and maybe I don't know if I'm laying this out. So transition to socialist environment or government, social order, to a communist, to an anarchist, there's a process. So just becoming a socialist government don't mean that people in the way in which they engage each other will drastically change, but the way in which the official government works is different. So racism won't be in the government, but there still will be, right? Racism will stop you from getting your rights, but
yes. Absolutely. But the philosophically, if communism or socialism is sustained, it will change, create what Che Guevara called, it will create the new man and the new woman.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because from a materialist perspective or dialectical materialism, if you change how things are produced and distributed, it will change the intimate social relations of the people. First, you change the means of production, the material reality. The materiality will affect interpersonal and collective communal relationships, and change the interpersonal and collective communal relationships. You change the very brain chemistry. You change how people conceive and engage with reality itself. And that is the new person. So yes, you can eventually, the ultimate goal is to change social relations, to change people's thinking. And we're seeing that in reverse, how cultures and communities become corrupted by capitalism. I think one of the examples of those in a small isolated group are like the cargo cults of Melanesia. You know, you had a communal sharing community, and they started getting material goods from the empire, and they went from a communal community to a predatory community almost overnight. So
the socialization process.
Right. And so the next point I want to look at is when Kwame Ture said that there was no value in appealing to the consciousness of our oppressors. And so nonviolence and these more civil, nonviolent, and what people will identify moral means of challenging our oppressors are an absolute waste of time and energy. And we should not invest time, resources, or our lives' energy into trying to nonviolent protests, singing songs, demonstrating to them, oh, well, let's show them how wrong they are. Let's show them the suffering. Let's go into the favelas. Let's go into, the mines of the Congo and show the world. Is there any value in that as far as, now I see the value in it for the oppressed people to understand, but as far as the people who are oppressors, they have no consciousness. They are not human. They are not humane. And there is no point in trying to appeal to their morality or their consciousness.
So are you, in a nutshell, saying we're going to drop that speaking truth to power bullshit?
I never got on it, but yeah, I think people should drop it.
I'm talking about our people. Yeah, our
yes,
people. Right?
Yes.
I agree.
All right. And that was Kwame Ture. And now I want to talk about the concept of moral capital and cultural capital. And that is basically the warped kind. Now, let me not say warped. Let's approach it non-biased. That is the concept that as we conduct ourselves morally, it will give us more authority and legitimacy to advocate for what we want. So if we as a people pull our pants up, if we stop doing crimes, if we start loving and stop killing each other, we will build up this thing called moral capital. So when we go to other people and say, y'all stop killing us, y'all stop exploiting us, give us our reparations. But we can't ask for reparations while we got acrylic fingernails and Jordans on, because so this concept, and it can't, I thought it was done. I thought after Trump, we would never play this stupid game. But is there a such thing as moral capital? Do black people have it? Have we ever had it? Have we lost it? Is it something we should even strive for if it is a thing?
So again, what I hear is down with identity politics also.
No, I think all politics are. I think
identity politics, like you don't, because again, this. Well, maybe I'm using
what politics are not rooted in identity.
Well, I'm talking about the phrase that is used, so we don't get caught up on that. No, you don't need to pull your pants.
Identity politics is like political correctness. It is a word,
right? That's why. That's kind of why I'm using it.
Yeah, I support identity politics. I engage in identity politics, and I will say all politics are identity politics. There are no non-identity. Name some politics that are not born out of and rooted in identity.
Well, this is what I guess, like, I don't know how you're using it, but identity reductionism and identity politics, respectability politics is probably the word I was trying to use more.
Yeah, that's part. Now that's a different thing. But
even thanks, Paul. But I don't know. I think even this idea of I don't know. I think I don't know. But I think what you're saying is no, you don't have to have this particular respectability or be deemed respectable in order for you to.
Exactly. They can't call it respectability politics anymore. And that's the thing. They try to come around. They swing on you with the left. If you duck that, they try to uppercut you with the They hook you with the right, and you duck it, and they uppercut you with the left. So we pretty much, I don't think there's any legitimate voice out there arguing for respectability politics. I don't think there's anybody. You can't name, not even Ku Klux Klandis Owens is advocating for respectability politics. That's over. But then they rebrand respectability politics in this empty nonsense called moral capital. And moral capital is an attractive word because when people hear the word capital, their ears perk up because we've been indoctrinated into capitalism. And then you remember it used to be character, the content of your character. Judge me not by the color of my skin, but by the content of my character. And right after that, Negroes ran around and be like, yeah, we ain't got the proper character. What is your character? So they're going to always, our Uncle Tom's handkerchief head sellout Negroes are always going to try to come with what from older generations would call respectability politics or the moral or the proper character. But all that shit, I don't care if every black person was a 2-bit hustler and pickpocket.
As long as they don't pick each other pocket.
Well, that's another thing. Yeah.
Rob them. Give it to us.
Exactly. So yeah, but it's out there, and people gave me some serious pushback when this guy was talking about because black people are fighting each other in the Waffle House. We've lost our moral capital.
Yeah, I hate
And
that
I had somebody argue me and fight me toe to toe, saying, "Yeah, we need to start conducting ourselves in a more appropriate manner if we want to be taken seriously. We need to conduct ourselves better if we want to really stand for ourselves. We killing each other. That shit is still there, and it's deeply ingrained."
I think
hate
arguing that we should have a code of policies and a particular way in which, because you said it earlier, like, you know, people who can't be leaders versus people who could be leaders. There is a way, there's a character, there's a principle that we should have with each other. But I think that's a different argument than what you're saying. And I feel like people conflate those two arguments.
Yeah. But every time I'm around black people trying to do anything, that is always an undercurrent. Even the black people who claim to be free of it. That whole collective shame, collective embarrassment. You know, some individual black person or even a population of black people do something and the rest of us are like, see, that's why people don't respect us.
Yeah.
Or that's making us look bad. As if one black person or a whole population or demographic of black people can make all other black people look bad.
No, I think, you know, that's interesting because there was a brother who
bad in front of who?
There's a brother who used to try to
exactly. They never go that far. But I'm sorry, Geechee.
No, I was about to say there's a brother who used to try to like share that me and Asafo don't like black businesses. He used to be in our study group because we made him study myth and propaganda of black buying power. But one day he was having a conversation. It was him and another brother who was saying something like, if a woman doesn't respect herself, then he's not going to respect her. And I'm like, that's not what we want. But that logic is like, you know, you got to respect them. But it's almost like, what type of man are you to treat the person a particular way? And then if we're supposed to be, again, I don't want to say saviors, but organizers, revolutionaries, or people who engage in social change, why wouldn't you help the sister or help the person? So you're going to prey on somebody who's vulnerable. Right. So that's why
we love our people. Revolutionaries supposed to love their people, right? Mm-hmm. Supposed to be in love with the people. So then, therefore, you cannot exploit or take advantage of the people, no matter what circumstances. Yeah, man. I don't think people be thinking about a lot of this shit, man.
Yeah.
Seriously, because I be getting frustrated because, like, it don't take but 2 seconds to expand a thought.
Right.
But yeah, man, that shit's silly, man.
All right. Okay. And this is kind of the final one that I want to talk about in terms of revolution versus righteousness. Ethics. And I hear us talk about things like there's no ethical consumption under capitalism and things, but we talk about what isn't ethical, but we very seldom talk about what is ethical. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to say what isn't ethical, but we very seldom define ethics. And this is, again, coming from me, a conclusion that I've reached, that ethics are defined by objective. Strictly. There are no freestanding ethics, meaning you can't be or identify yourself as an ethical person unless you know what their objective is. So you can't be ethical, moral, or even a good person unless you understand their ideology and objectives. I had stated once that religious people aren't moral. They just have a series of rituals and limitations that mimic morality.
Maybe.
And really, the real purpose of Christianity is obedience and submission, not to be a good person. And we always get confused when we see Christians doing bad shit because we think if you're a Christian, you're good. And I mean, people are even shocked that people who are the chosen people of God can commit a genocide. or people who follow a religion that means peace can engage in unrelenting atrocities in the Sudan, Libya, Sahara.
Yeah, they never say nothing about that. These so-called Christians, my own friends, they never said nothing about Palestine or none of these other things. They keep silent.
Yeah, but let's say something about Palestine and Israel. I think Christians are off the hook. Palestine-Israel conflict is a Christian conflict. I know we talk about the Jewish faith, Judaism and stuff, but the whole impetus, number one, Christian Zionists outnumber Jewish Zionists 1,000-1, right? And we all understand in jurisprudence that if I tell you to go out and commit a crime and you go out and commit the crime on my behalf, under my instruction, doesn't that make me not even guilty, but guiltier than the people who carry out the crime?
You're the brain. Mm-hmm.
Right. I when during quarantine, I started listening to a lot of true crime. During quarantine, I would just listen to true crime all day. I guess I wanted to just see people more miserable than myself to make myself feel better. Being the hater, I couldn't go outside and hate, so I found a way to hate from home. But every time there was a murder for hire scenario, someone hired someone to kill a rival or hire someone to kill a spouse, the person who hired the assassin was given more time, and it weighed more, the law weighed more on them than the people who executed the crime. If you understand the Christian prophecy, Christian revelations, Christian dispensation, the crimes happening there are born out of Christian mythology, are born out of Christian apocalyptic ambitions. And I just think that, and if without the support of Christianity and Christian nations, Christian empires, it could have and would have, it would have never happened in the first place, and it wouldn't be sustained one day without the Christian empires. And I don't think that gets enough discussions because Christians are off the hook. Not even that they fail to condemn it, but if you're a Christian, I don't even want to hear you condemn it because that is the prophecy of your God.
Okay, well, I just meant in general, just the fact of them speaking out on something that's not righteous. You know what I mean? Like they're supposed to be these, upstanding moral people, but they don't got nothing to say about that.
Right.
Because they feel some type of attachment. Like, when they take these pilgrimages, they go to Israel first, to the Holy Land, and then they go to Africa and say, this is where the evil Africans were. Like, that shit is backwards, man. But I'm just saying,
most Africans agree with them. Most Africans agree. The vast majority of Africans are Christian and or Muslim.
Damn, Diallo.
And so anyway, that's what I want to talk about. Do you think morality or ethics can be separated from ideology and objectives?
I think morality is just so subjective, especially, I guess, in that context. So I think it had to be fleshed out like that, fleshed out how we have done today. Because,
well,
I don't know.
You think it's all subjective?
I think not necessarily, but whenever, again, I listen to a lot of Amos and I've read a bunch of Amos and people being literally out of their mind at this point. Like, people think private property is moral and they don't understand personal versus private property. So shit, I don't know, bro.
Well, I think too often in our community, if someone is speaking in a way that we like, let's go back to Dr. Fubar and his situation that kind of started. People like what he's saying. They agree, when he's on there, encouraging Black men and Black women to form bonds together and encouraging the Black family and talking about how much his desire and love for the chocolate Black woman and all that shit. People hear that, but I very seldom find people, whether it's Dr. Fubar or Tariq Not Shit or who's that ADOS dude?
Tone Talks.
Yeah, Tone and his henchwoman. They never talk about their ultimate objectives. You'll notice how little we talk about the ultimate conclusion. People will swear up and down how much they love Farrakhan, but they never identify what his ultimate objective is.
I thought Yvette said when she wrapped herself up in the flag was to become white and to become, full-fledged.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the supporters. They'll play that off like we're gonna get reparations, and you're not just gonna sit there with a pile of money in your lap. Then what? What is the ultimate objective? From reparations to salvation. But many of these prominent individuals and prominent organizations, I know people who have been members of organizations for over a decade, and you ask them, what is the ultimate goal of your organization? And they can't tell you. They can tell you what we're working on right now, what we're trying to do in the moment. They can even tell you something that's not really grounded, like we're trying to get free. We trying to get black power. But they can't tell you, like, when white people came over here, they came over here to conquer. What does white conquest look like? We came to industrialize the economy, to obliterate the native inhabitants until they are in a manageable population, isolated, manageable population. We plan to extract, refine, process the resources, redistribute them for fiat so that we can accumulate wealth. It's very specific things that Europeans came. You can't just say, well, they came to conquer. They came to control. They came to enslave. But to what ultimate end? And we don't ask that about our oppressors. We don't ask that about the people who are supposed to be fighting for us. We simply just look at the broader, they bad, we good. We look at they doing wrong, and we trying to do good. But unless you understand the ultimate objectives and drives, even for communism, even for socialism, you don't understand that thing, and you can't really exercise or engage in true ethical or even moral behaviors that lean toward that objective.
Okay.
This is what I was saying earlier. Haas is right. I respect this. Morality is subjective, huh?
How can you be a good person?
Wait. Slow down. That's why it's subjective. Good and bad could be subjective too. Morality is subjective. Someone could be a relatively good person, but support an oppressive politic ideology that is adversarial towards the masses and their interests.
So they were good slave masters.
Slow down, bro. Slow down.
Like black conservatives.
Y'all don't want to slow down. Y'all want to go fast. Y'all want to hit the Diallo gas. So anyway, after you talk about the European conquest of this land, right? And years that has passed. Once these people are in control, like they could do policies, or they can say, they can give reparations. They can help indigenous people get land and school and free stuff. They're not repairing them to their thing, so they can look in society. They can be looked at as good, but they still will be. They can look at it as moral, right, before the public. But that they still will be immoral if they haven't put the natives back into the position they were before they met them. So I'm not saying you would call them moral, but I'm saying the image will be presented as they're moral.
That's not what that statement said. See, you're doing it again.
That statement's talking about subjectivity, because that's what subjectivity is about.
Pull it back up.
And relative.
That's what I'm saying. It's talking about subjectivity.
He said someone could be a relatively good person, but support ain't just passive. Support is an active word.
But relative is
support. Allow me to finish this.
Relative is important.
Support is a verb. It ain't something that just happens. Support an oppressive political ideology. Name the person. Name the relatively good person who supports an oppressive political ideology.
So let me tell you real quick. Relative is the operative word.
Okay, name the relatively good person that supports one. Name them. Where is that person? Because I don't think that person exists, but I'm willing to accept if you can give me a viable example. Who is that person?
You ready?
Are you that person, Ubatu? And then you tell me this the oppressive.
No, Diallo, you missing.
Allow me to ask Ubatu. Ubatu, name the oppressive political ideology that you support, and you're still a good person. Name it.
Diallo, I think you're missing his whole point. That's why he says relative.
His point is not missed. It's clear and it's inaccurate.
No, it's not.
This ain't romper room. We don't have to act like everybody's good and everybody's saying the right
Nobody's
thing.
saying that, though. That's why
here.
Bro, that's why it's
wrong.
Diallo, listen. Diallo.
He don't do it. He don't do it. You don't do it. Name the person who does it.
Bro, you don't want to listen.
A relatively good person who
Can you slow down? Can you slow down? Can you slow down?
I'll slow down and back up.
Is there somebody who can call Obama a good person?
They'd be wrong.
I was thinking about that.
Right. So listen. If there's
somebody wrong as fuck.
Oh my gosh.
You can call him. You can call.
Bro, that's why you got pulled off camera, because you just don't listen.
Obama a mau.
Well, we about to run out in 3 minutes. We're gone. So if you want to belabor the time for 3 minutes, you can do that. But relative means it's only relative to a particular segment of people, right?
That's not what relative means.
I'm trying to think of a person, and I can't think of nobody, man.
Because that person doesn't exist outside of Geechee and Ubatu's imagination.
I mean, when I look at my own friends, and I see the shit that they put on I don't like.
Now,
I don't like them no more.
I do understand that a good person can support a bad thing. But that is out of pure ignorance. Like my grandmother was indoctrinated into Christianity, and she thought that Jewish people were God's chosen people and that land was promised to them. If my grandmother was properly educated in the truth, she would withdraw her support. So good people can be manipulated, indoctrinated, or fooled into supporting something that is bad. But if you are a truly good person, once you have access to the evidence and arguments and reality of something is bad, good people walk the fuck away from that, like Malcolm walked away from the NOI.
Well, I guess Malcolm is
now it's just Geechee, the only person in the world that believes that, because we won Obatu over.
See, we can do this, man. That's what I'm saying.
We gotta just work. We gotta evangelize Geechee now.
Nah, you ain't got to evangelize me, because I'm not.
A lot of our people
just stand on faith, because we don't have evidence. So you just standing on faith.
This is what is being said right here. That is what relative means. You can pick a person because the argument is subjective. It's relative for that particular person. So again, based off of whoever's opinion, right? Based off of whoever's judgment, based off of the criterion that they're using, something is relative only for you. So for instance, NOI will say, most people in NOI said Farrakhan is a good leader. And then we were like, according to y'all, according to your judgment. So that's why I'm saying relative or subjective.
Well, then I guess we have to see what is a good person then. Do a good person support?
Good and bad is subjective. That's what I keep trying to tell y'all.
Saying good and bad is subjective does not mean that we cannot define an action or behavior as good or bad.
You're right. And when we get power, we can do that. But without power, we just
can do it without power. We just can't. Without power, power is the ability to define and have it act in a desired manner. You can define without the ability to have it act in a desired manner.
Well, then it won't be mainstream. It'll just be relative to your crew.
The things that I look at that I don't currently have the power to impose. There's a lot of things that I define. I define the consumption of animal flesh as inhumane and unnecessary, but I can't and my definition doesn't change because I don't have the ability to obliterate the meat industry.
You didn't hear what you talking about. We talking about a mainstream, something become accepted as a policy, a law, when you have the power to influence others and get them to agree or act in a desired manner, then that thing become a universal or
Now,
social.
it doesn't become universal.
Listen, listen, Diallo. Every time I do that, you do that. I try to use 4 words for whatever you agree to, and you want to argue about universal, an accepted term, a societal agreement, whatever you want to call it. Once you have the ability to say this thing is
it becomes what is enforced and imposed.
Or influence. It always has to be iron fits.
That the oppressive minority imposes on people.
The oppressive minority? Nobody talking about oppression right now. We're not talking about oppression.
We talk about power. How are you going to talk about power and not talk about oppression?
Because power and oppression is not synonymous, Diallo. I hope you don't say that.
You're missing, but you don't want.
You do the same thing. That's why we get here, and it's almost
okay. Allow me to just clarify.
Okay, I ain't gonna get to clarify me, but you go ahead and clarify.
You can define, you can reach conclusions, you can have outlook, you can have worldview and theories and philosophies that contradict those in power. And then you have to organize and build from the grassroots to gain power, to impose and overthrow those. You're saying once the people in power define something, and because they have the power to impose it, it becomes universal. That is not true. Private healthcare is the reality.
See how you misrepresent what I said, and then
exactly what you said. But I'm glad you didn't say it, because if you said it, you would have been wrong. And I'm glad you didn't say it. So whoever thinks that, not Geechee, but whoever thinks that, when the people in power define and impose or force or legislate or police something on us, many of those things do not have universal embrace. Even though the majority of the people submit to it, you can still have discontent.
Of course, we're talking about societal norms and social orders. Not everybody agree with one social order.
Why are you interrupting me? I'm not even.
Because you've been doing it to me the whole time, and we
You just said you don't think it. I was just trying to talk to those who might be wrong. Me and you agree.
No.
High five, Geechee.
A social order.
Geechee, I'm not until you high five.
You said high five? No, the 5 got to go this way.
No, this way.
Nah.
This way.
Come on. No, that's to the right. I'm left.
Fine. Here we go. Okay. High five, Geechee. Where you at? Come on. You said you would high five me.
You said you're being obtuse, man. I can't do it.
I don't know what that means. High five, Geechee. See? Unethical, immoral. You said you would high five me forward and not sideways.
Oh man, I changed my mind.
All right, so I'm just gonna point.
He pulled it back.
Yeah, man. I'm bike. I'm pulling bike.
I'm gonna stick my don't
come over. Bike? Ain't that the people in New Orleans said bike?
I'm gonna stick my finger in your ear. Okay, where are we? I think
pause, phrasing.
So have we concluded you don't have to be righteous in order to be a revolutionary?
Absolutely,
yes.
Okay, we're gonna get in trouble.
Who defines righteousness?
Righteousness,
right? No, listen.
By the state is a criminal.
There's a caveat. If you say that you have to be righteous to be revolutionary, you have to explicitly define what righteous is, and it has to have unanimous in agreement that that's righteous.
Because everything's relative, everything's subjective.
Not everything.
Most things are relative.
Ontology and epistemology has stark differences.
I'm going to create a list of banned words from the show.
What?
Ontology, epistemology.
Hey, listen. One time I was trying to argue an ontological argument around gravity. And I was like, if I do this, it's going to drop. And the brother said, no, because who do you know the ground is actually coming up to meet it as much as it's falling down. I was like, game over.
Then you should have right then started a church and told him to give you 10%. Then you just had your first initiate in the cult. Anybody that far gone, you're just supposed to get 10% of their pre-tax income.
That man said gravity come up to us. So anyway, man, let's
put him in the category with them flat earthers.
Well, shout out to everybody that made a positive contribution to our just aspirations. Please help the channel. Please share the channel, because we had kind of a boom in subscribers and then they all fell off.
Like left or just stopped? showing up.
No, we haven't lost subscribers, but we're not getting as many as we used to. We used to get like a regular influx of new subscribers. But once we
I do think we got to start sharing the link sooner, like the live and not the live, but
are we doing that tonight?
Not the live. What? No. Tukey.
Did I change my views on Tukey?
Oh no, we ain't talking about that tonight.
Can I answer the man's question? It's a
yes or no. Yeah, you can say yes. Did you?
No.
Oh, I'm about to say, God damn, where you been at?
I haven't heard it.
Well, why did they ask that? Did something happen?
I think maybe because I was talking about morality and leadership. Maybe they
trying
to argue that.
Tukey wasn't a revolutionary though.
Huh?
Tukey wasn't a revolutionary though.
Oh,
not in the least.
Oh, was he a leader?
As a matter of fact, I think
he was a leader.
I think he was defined as a serial killer.
I mean, if I look up the definition,
well, theologist said you got to be comfortable with loving to cut people's necks. So I don't know.
Yes, that's true. But if you are equally, was he engaged in ascending, lateral, or descending violence? I know. I was joking. He wasn't in right violence. Ascending violence is the only truly revolutionary violence.
It could be reactionary, but yeah, sure.
No,
give me an example of reactionary ascending violence.
I said it could be. So you calling ascending violence meaning killing who? Harming
ascending
who?
Violence is people
that's ruling over you.
You can have violence without killing. Geechee, calm down. I think there's like a fire within Geechee, and Geechee know if he starts to love this stuff, it's just we all in trouble. Geechee just said it. Hey, if I take that attitude, all y'all in danger.
I didn't say that. But so go ahead.
Geechee, I see you drink your matcha and you burn your incense and you do your man. I'm glad you out here doing yoga. I'm glad because I think there's something in Geechee. There's a little, something in there that you're trying to hold back.
I ain't about to get you to pull anything out on this camera.
Banner. All right. So what I'm saying is, what was I saying? I'm sorry. I just got
ascending violence. Ascending violence.
Ascending violence is when people engage in violence against people who are higher than them on the hierarchy, above them on the hierarchy.
Okay,
and so give me an example.
Above them or oppressing them?
Above them. What's the difference? Can you be above somebody and not oppress them?
Yeah, you can be buffer. You can be the buffer.
Then you're oppressing them. If you're above, if Elon Musk is walking through the hood and I'm walking out in front of Elon Musk, like don't step to Elon. Am I not engaged in oppressing my damn self?
I don't know.
And then somebody comes
the managerial. I don't know. I think it's a little different. It's a little different.
So buffers are just as bad.
Well, managerial class. I think there's a. That's another conversation.
So wait, doesn't the accomplice apply to that? Doesn't the mastermind or doesn't the accomplice apply to that?
That's another conversation. So James, real quick.
Was the judge.
Your job. If you were a manager at your job, would you consider yourself to be what you're talking about and should be off by somebody?
No, I don't think managers are managers capitalists.
Wait, so that's what I was. That's why I said the managerial class. But I know every time I say a word, you pounce on it. But I'm talking about
a manager and the managerial.
They're above the next person. That's what I'm saying.
So on the hierarchy. Are managers generally working class or part of the elite?
It depends.
No, I say working class.
Let me tell you something. If managers are members of the working class.
Yeah, majority of them.
So they might have a different role in the system than you, but their status in the hierarchy.
That's why I asked you for clarity because you said somebody above you, and that's all I was asking.
In the hierarchy, not above you in job title, not above you in income, not above you and they got a nicer house than you.
Well, managers got higher income than they work
because they got hair and you bald headed. Those type of distinctions are not considered part of the social or class hierarchy. So when we talk about the social and class hierarchy, a manager is an employee. Are they not? Does the manager own the means of production?
Well,
Yeah, that's
again,
another issue.
that's the point, though.
But if you commit
The
violence
buffer
against
class don't own the
person-
means of production either, though.
I worked at Wendy's. When I worked at Wendy's, if I went into that back room, that little musty room they gave the manager and swung on the manager, that would be an instance of lateral violence. That would not be an instance of ascending violence.
I don't know, man. I think it becomes different because you remember you said talk about like having a contract in the prison system, not working for the prison system, but a contract.
I worked for a prison. I worked in prisons all over the country.
This is what I'm saying, though. Slow down, bro. If use that example, if the prisoners have an uprising and your ass get captured with the other people who look like workers, is that so? Are you positioned above them?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, I'm just saying you can look like them.
We need to do a discussion on class stratification.
I agree.
Because we say class a lot, but then when I start to discuss the particulars of class, there's a lot of people who think they're capitalists who are not. A lot of people who think they're in the hierarchy or don't understand their position within the hierarchy. But even more people who are confused about middle class and what the middle class, lower middle class, upper middle class, and where they are in a hierarchy.
Right.
So if you go to work and jump on your manager who does not have any ownership stake, I'm telling you, if you're seeing somebody show up to work and do 8 hours alongside you, even if they get to tell you whether or not you scrub the floors or flip the grill, they are not above you in the hierarchy. They might be above you in the job, but in the social hierarchy, just ask Trump.
That's all the clarity I was pushing for on your statement.
Employee. They get on my nerves.
That's the clarity I was pushing for on your original statement right there. So appreciate it.
But I think they aspire to be part of the elite.
Well, that goes to another conversation. But that's why I asked for Diallo to clarify that.
Now, what he's saying is true. Fact is right. That's lateral. They with us. But to them, they aspire to be higher than us. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to.
Does aspirations take you to another class, though?
No.
All right, then. So there we go.
No, but what I'm saying is,
what
it makes it hard
wanting to
on
be rich don't make you rich.
Say that again.
Wanting to be rich don't make you rich.
No, yeah, but that's what I'm saying to James. Like this aspiration don't put them in another class, so you still gotta. So it becomes reactionary when you.
They aspirations by them aspiring to be like that. They treat us different.
That's my point. That's my point.
But what I'm saying
so when
is,
Diallo said, "Give me an example," that's an example.
When I talk about ascending violence, if you took out your manager, would that disrupt the systems and institutions of capitalism or white hegemony?
Or you just gonna replace them?
Then you're engaged in lateral violence. So what about the CEO? Because they didn't disrupt. They kept going on the meeting.
When that CEO was taken out, when that CEO was taken out, was there not a disruption? Was there not a fundamental change in approach in the society, the way the society was structured and moved? Because there were new policies. They are still discussing. Yes, it was a disruptive act. And if you want to degrade or try to dismiss,
now you start using words like degrade and stuff like that. No.
Look at this alone. Remember, Elon Musk started after that CEO got clipped. Elon started carrying around one of his litter. And carrying that one of the runt of his litter, carrying it on his shoulders. There was a fundamental impact that reverberated around the economic, social,
impact or change
society. And if you don't comprehend that or understand that, you better go look at it again. Yes, if CEOs start getting killed, if members of the religious hierarchy, if the Pope get taken out, yes, that reverberates and they change policies. You can run up in a school and take out a bunch of kids and there's no change. You take out one CEO, there have been changes, and I can compile a list of the impacts, the reverberating and long-term impacts if you need me to. But you ain't paying enough attention.
Let's do it.
How much coverage did the news media put on the fact that the public wasn't mad at the guy for killing that man? You know what I'm saying? Like, had it been the other way, like they was trying to come up a lot of sympathy for the CEO guy, but the public was like, "Yay, Leo," and they kind of suppressed.
when they brought him back to New York, when they extradited him, the fucking mayor was there. He had a contingency. It was like 50. There was a huge contingency marching him across, and all the media was there. You see,
you said it
disrupted the church.
Question.
They took him to McDonald's.
Did you say? Listen, did you? Because you be doing a lot of. Did you say it disrupt the flow of capital? That's what you said, or you said something?
Yeah,
else?
It did impact the stock markets.
Did it disrupt the flow of capital?
Yes, I just said it affected the stock market.
Okay.
Did it not? Did it not impact?
I'm asking you. You know, so there you go.
Stock price? Did it impact United stock price or not? What do you think the flow of capital looks like in this modern society? Yes, if you affect the stock market, if you affect the
Diallo, if it's a simple yes. If you say it's a yes,
the answer is yes. Now, did it stop? No. One particular act of ascending violence won't liberate you. But if you are able to sustain, yes, but that's impact. Boy, y'all don't understand these little acts of rebellion. Go back and
nobody. So now you call it little. Listen. That's my problem right there. Little acts of rebellion. Little acts of rebellion and disruption is two different things.
Which is why they have to capture and distort the narrative about
little acts of rebellion and disruption is not the same thing. You said that yourself just now. Little acts of rebellion is not disruption.
Yes, it is.
You just said that.
No, I said you have to sustain it, but those little
acts. That's what I'm talking about too. Sustaining.
Oh my God. Woo.
Those CEOs was moving different in them other companies though.
Well, you know what? Some of them, the CEOs who he was going to meet with, they still had to meet. And like, damn, yo got popped. Okay.
Woo. Y'all.
Yeah, but they look.
Christ.
Look, they may have had to find another way to do it.
All I'm saying is there is never an act of ascending violence. Who wrote the chapter on this?
So that was ascending violence, is what you're saying.
There was a hold on. You go on. Who was talking about it? I think it was Noam Chomsky, your homie, was talking about. No, it was Derek Jensen. Here it is. In this book right here. Endgame. Why is this?
Endgame. Hold on.
The Problem of Civilization.
That was his best book he ever wrote, and then he went crazy.
And volume 2 was whack. Well, I wouldn't say volume 2 was bad. Volume 2 was just redundant. It was.
I was just talking about Endgame today. So
let me tell you,
disruption does not mean no impact.
In this book, Derek Jensen talks about when a civilian kills a policeman, when a working class person kills a capitalist owner of industry, the way the society, the way those impacts reverberate. So you have isolated acts of violence. And the first thing they're trying to do is make an example of him to suppress that, because he has impacted a lot of people. And so, yes, one act of violence can reverberate and cause a revolution, or it can be successfully rebranded and suppressed. But you should never take anything like that.
Nobody's arguing impact, because you know what else impacted the people? When them black people fought the white people on that boat dock.
To say that was lateral violence. Did those people only control the means of production?
I know. That's what I'm saying. There was impact. There was impact.
Okay, yeah, that was impactful. I enjoyed it. I go back and watch it sometimes just off of GP. But in terms of the hierarchy, and that's another thing, we think, being white privilege. White privilege is a myth.
Mm-hmm. I think Leo scared them people more than them boat people.
Yes. And let me tell you something. There will be new legislation. There will be new policies.
I think Diallo is giving revolutionary optimism with Luigi. I'm
extremely pessimistic. I'm only
like he did with the Traore and Sahel.
So, well, no, Leo not no revolutionary, but just the fact that
he has revolutionary optimism about his.
He engaged in the Revolutionary Act.
Yeah, that was great.
Oh, that was a revolutionary act. Okay, great.
Yeah, going up to Papa CEO in such a dramatic fashion was a revolutionary act.
Hey, the act was honorable. Wait, did you say your boy who burned himself on fire was that a revolutionary act too, or no?
I don't know. I talked about that. I said what I said about that. I don't support self-immolation. because I don't think it was. Yeah, but I don't think it was revolutionary.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't. I mean, are sacrifices considered the revolutionary?
You know what's revolutionary? What's revolutionary is I gotta go. I'm tired. And
All right, man.
We 10.
Yeah, we do have to wrap this up. We'll pick it up later, but if y'all want to get into the reverberating impacts and the historical connections between Sacco and Vanzetti, or individuals carrying out ascending violence, and how and I promise you, the other CEOs, the politicians, the owners and controllers of meat production, they're taking his shooting a lot more serious than y'all are.
They should.
Anyway, I appreciate
what's
y'all.
the difference?
Like, huh?
Go ahead. I was gonna say, because somebody put the Aaron Bushnell guy was revolutionary. So what's the difference between his self-sacrifice and what Leo did?
I think sacrificing, because that wasn't ascending violence. Burning yourself up is not ascending violence.
Okay, there we go.
I was talking about ascending violence is the only revolutionary violence.
There we go.
Anyway.
Now we clear. All right.
Y'all have a good week. Everybody, I'm heading to Cali, and then right after Cali, I'm heading to New York. I got to cut.
Hey, when you gonna be in New York?
Not
this weekend.
This Wednesday.
You gonna be in New York this Wednesday?
Yeah, I'll be in California this weekend and next week.
All right, hit me up. I think I'm gonna be up there too.
You gonna be in New York? All right. Hey, we can do it live
Tuesday.
All right. Peace, bro.
All right, y'all. Later.